Hello! Welcome to tonight's team call. It is August 18th, Sunday, and we are halfway through the month. There have been so many exciting things happening. We are currently in 3-star qualification. There have been other leaders that have been working really hard and advancing to Emerald and to Diamond. And our newest Emeralds, Chelsea and Emily. And I know that there are a few others that are working on that as well. And I just wanted to also start by saying, if you have helped anyone this week, would you just go ahead and type in the chat box who you helped, what you helped them get started with, and maybe also how you met, whether it was social media or if you knew them in the past. I think sometimes it's helpful just to see like how we all connect with people. And it can be help with anything, whether it's just like a collagen or a Shakeology boost or a bundle pack or Startups Coach, all of the above. I want to start sharing that and just talking about it more. Okay, so I am going to dive in, and I got this inspiration from a podcast I was listening to, Keisha Fitzgerald, and she talks about the brain and how our brain is like wired to avoid failure and avoid stepping outside our comfort zone. So here's my 3 things. And then at the very end, I wanted to open it up to anyone for conversation. I get questions often about conversations and talking to people and sending out invites and so forth. And so I wanted to just open up the floor for 20 minutes where we can just talk and collab and connect. You don't have to stay on for it, but if it's something that you want, I wanted to just offer that time as well. So number 1, personal development daily. And some of these things you may have heard before, you may have heard us talk about, but I wanted to expand and go a little bit farther. So be honest with yourself. How much personal development do you listen to daily? So write this down and be honest. If you don't listen to it daily, write that down and make it a goal to do that. Oh, awesome, Gabby. Actually, I just saw that today. I looked in the downline. I was like, 2 new coaches. Woohoo! So be honest with yourself, and then also, do you retain it or are you taking action when you're listening to it? So whenever I'm listening to a podcast, I make sure I am writing down at least one takeaway that I'm going to take action with. And if it's not something that I'm going to take action with, it's something that I can help someone else with in that season or in that journey. So I'm also like, I think sometimes I hear coaches that are like, I don't want to get on the national wake up call because I don't want to compare myself. It's not about the comparison game. It's never about that. It's about whether or not you can take information away for yourself in the season that you're in, or I bet you there's a season or someone else that can benefit from that information, and that's just as valuable. So doesn't matter how long you've been a coach, make sure you're consistently getting on the national wake up call or listening to the replay that is on the podcast, which is also nice because you can skip forward. I mean, also on Facebook, once it's live and the replay, you can skip forward as well. But I like to listen through, see who's advancing and stuff as well sometimes. And they have good announcements as well. So I hope you're writing this down. So, and if you want to share, I would really love for this to be an interactive call. So if you would like to share how much personal development you listen to daily, like if you have a non-negotiable, and then also if you retain it or if you make sure you take action on it. Another thing, a vision board. It doesn't have to be fancy. This is also another form of personal development. Do you know what you want your life to look like in 2030? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but like, where do you want your life to be in 2030? Are you doing a vision board for the year, for 5 years, for 10 years? I hope that you have this longevity mindset because that's what's going to help propel you forward. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be literally written on paper, or you can make it in Canva. Just make something. It could be a web. Do whatever works for you. Let's see. Are you building a brand of yourself? So this is also what personal development will help you with. I have learned so much of how to do things. I know a lot of you have learned how to do things from personal development books and podcasts and trainings and things like that. I also want to emphasize there's difference between personal development and business development. So make sure you're also doing business development, which actually, if you have not read Build to Last, amazing book for us to read because it is someone that is in our network. And actually Colleen Curtis's mentor, if you were on or have been on some of Alexis's calls, she's been on. Okay, number 2. Failure is your friend. I think a lot of times, and this comes back to our mindset, and what she talks about is our mind wants to protect us. Our mind is wired to protect us. So we want to do these things, and we want to step outside our comfort zone, and then we go to do it, and our mind starts to like play these things, right? And so it's really important for us to practice identifying when our mind starts to do that and starting to say, no, like I can do this. It's not going to, hurt me or do something to hinder my life, right? It's actually going to propel me in the direction that I want to go. So people can tell you all the things and how to be successful and all that, but at the end of the day, you have to put in the work, and by failing forward is putting in the work. So curious to know, do you think that my welcome email for a new coach has stayed the same for the last 6 years? It's looked similar, but I've tweaked it. I've molded it. I've added the PDF that Gabby made me for my new coaches. Like, it has evolved, and that's the beauty of this, and that's what you need to be okay with, is just accepting that failure is your friend, and you have to just fail forward. Like, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? So every time you have this something like this happen and fear starts to stop you, write this down and ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? I bet you it's super silly, and writing it out will seem really silly for you. Oh, awesome. Say It Louder podcast. Yeah, and if you have any podcast recommendations, please feel free to put them in here. We can start a thread on that. Okay, so then number 3, and also if you have any questions or anything, just let me know, okay? Wait, what? I don't know what's happening.
It's not an actual podcast yet, just so you know that's my podcast. It won't be up for 2020.
I was like, wait, what?
You're like, yes, Say It Louder podcast. And I'm like, guys, no, not till 2020. So just pause, wait.
I've never heard of it, but I was like, great, good recommendation. Thanks. I'll check it out. Good to know. I didn't know the name of your podcast. Oh, I just muted myself. Okay, so number 3, actively push yourself outside your comfort zone. So this goes along with being okay with failure and having that be your friend. When your heart starts to race, that's when you should do it. It's super scary, and there's times when like I still like sometimes I still have that feeling, because you want to be pushing yourself outside your comfort zone every single day. If you're not doing that, you're not growing, and if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Like Tony Robbins says. And so, like I talked about with it, again, it's all rewiring our brain and how we were trained to think growing up. Like, it starts back from our past and what we need to work on. And so really identifying that and writing it down and getting real with ourselves is just going to help us with taking action and moving forward. So write down what scares you. So I want to know, is it like stories, inviting, connecting, doesn't even like, what scares you? Is there anything in particular that scares you? And this week, I want you to focus on that. I want you to focus on every single day taking action towards that thing that really scares you. So maybe so going live. So maybe that's making it a priority to go live at least once or twice this week. And it can be for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, starting just by taking action and doing something small is going to help by leading. Inviting, so making it a point to connect with people, starting by connecting on their Instagram stories and making it authentic to you. And then we have the Clean Week coming up. So the Clean Week is starting on the 20th, or when is it? The 26th. And so with the Clean Week starting on the 26th, that's a free opportunity to invite people too. And that's just going to be in our Self-Love Warriors group. We're just going to do that for that week. So it's not going to be in an extra group. And we're going to have posts directed towards that. So invite people to that, help them with the 2-week free trial. And don't be afraid of that, because I can't tell you how many times I've been afraid to invite someone, and then I invite them and they're like, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been meaning to reach out. Like, I think that happens every single time. Like, I rarely have someone that, and then that also comes from posting. So again, like, just taking action by sharing and sharing what you're doing in the vitals every single day. Just start, make a business announcement. If you have not yet made like a business announcement, or you feel like you haven't made one in a while, make something like that. Something that's authentic to you, and just share what you've been doing, share what you've been working on, and what's up and coming. People need to know what you're doing. I wrote down, you don't know until you know. No. And then I was like, no, that's not the right quote. It's, you don't know what you don't know. So people don't know what this entails until we let them know. A lot of times people think it's a lot more expensive than it is. A lot of times people don't realize they can get started with $40, and don't hesitate to let them get started with the club if they're not ready for a bundle yet. That's okay. We're not here because, you know what? If they get started with the $40 club and they decide in 30 days that they are committed and they want to do this for a year, they can get reimbursed for their $40, and then they can get started with a bundle pack. Why not? It doesn't matter. There's always a 30-day money back guarantee. There's always a solution. There's always an option for anyone. Okay? Of course the bundle is the best option. And of course we know that. But sometimes people just have to start smaller, and that's okay. We just have to be there and meet them where they're at and be okay with that. And then also, you won't have your 10th combo if you don't have your first. So I think about this in a lot of terms, in a lot of different ways. Like, I know Gabby's starting a podcast. She's not going to have her 100,000th download if she doesn't have her first, right? Similar thing with anyone starting something new. You open up a restaurant, you're not going to have your first successful one until you do it. And, there's going to be things that you learn along the way. So just think about it with anything new. And that's why getting outside your comfort zone and doing things that scare you every single day helps you with that. It helps you understand how strong you are and resilient, and how much you know, and how resourceful you are, and how much YouTube and Google becomes your BFF. And other, Instagram accounts and stuff from people that have failed forward before us. And that's kind of what we're here to do, is to show people and fail forward and allow people to do the same, so that they're able to have their own journey. Lily has a lot to say too. So that's really all that I had for you guys. I hope that was helpful, and it may have been stuff that you have heard. But I guess if there's anything that I could say is, make sure you have your vision board. Make sure that you're doing personal development every single day and just taking action and moving forward. And we're here to help people, and that's what we're here to do. And I feel like I've been hearing a lot lately, some people just wanting this to happen and wanting this to work, and you just have to start taking action. Start with a business, welcome post if you haven't, and reach into the community, get on team calls, be involved with us. And if you don't know how to be involved, reach out to one of us and ask. And we are more than happy to have anyone be involved. We just aren't going to do it for anyone. You aren't going to do it for anyone. It doesn't matter who it is, your client, your coach. They have to want it for themselves at the end of the day. And that's what's the best part too, because you're going to be there for them in their court, cheering them along, but also giving them some tough love and support and accountability. But yeah. Also, so if anyone has any questions or anything they wanted to talk about when it comes to conversations, feel free to unmute. I was gonna just stay on for an extra. I think I might actually end the recording. So, and let's stay on really quick for a picture before you hop off. So I'm gonna